Hey, this is Hans from Request for Music, and I'm going to introduce a new module, a grains module, a new one. Yeah, Reed Sweatman already said that I was on fire. So I created a new one, and that's a granular or grains module. So this is it, and the grains module has a pitch input, a gate input, a trigger input, left and right input, because there's three modes in there in the grains module. You can use a load button to load your WAV files and then set whatever you want. You can record it yourself by using the left and right input, or you can use a synth setting in the source to change and use a pitch and gate input to play the samples or the grains. It's a granular thing, so that means that it's taking grain. Sorry, having a cold. As usual, I'm starting to cough when doing this again and talking a lot. Um, a granular synth is a sampler that takes grains of that sample, and the grains are divided over the length of the sample. So if I take a sample, I'm going to look for a sample that I have, which is a poem by a Facebook friend of mine. So I'll take this in and I'll take my output into my echoes module. First of all, take this off. So you already hear something, and that's because the mix is on here. I'll dial the mix down,
First,
and
there's that
first
liquid
let's
heat,
hear
bringing color,
the
going
actual
deep.
sample. You see that
You
I have a sample
sigh as you
level here,
catch the
and I have a
scent,
mix knob as
breathing
well,
deep.
which
It's heaven
mixes in
sent.
the
Thinking there is
the
nothing to
grains.
compare, sipping from it.
So in this case, it's only taking one simple grain, and
Ah, manna from heaven to me.
I'll dial. Well, geez, that's not good. I'll dial the gain back because there's a gain as well. But you see at least that there's a wave shape that you can see, the waveform that you see from the sample that is taken, which is called mana.wave. And you see this vertical line, which means that it's only taking that one grain, and a very short one, to listen to. So that means that I have an option here to set the grain size, that it will show like this, and that it when I take one longer one, I can decide how many of those it's going to take. You see that the density divides how many grains per second there are. And then there's other settings with which you can change the position of whatever you're excuse me, whatever you're taking, the position within the grain. And there's a spray setting which divides it over, depending on your setting, over that full sample that you can have. The envelope is the sort of envelope, the amplitude for the portion that you use, for the grain that you use. And there's a semitone with which you can change the pitch of grains, or fine tune it, or randomly change the pitch. The spreading, with which you can use a setting to change the stereo position of that grain within the stereo field. A poly setting with which I can set how many of those grains work together. And then there's this sample level, the mix, the main gain, and a filter which goes from a low pass filter through bypass into a high pass filter. So that's really everything there is. So that means that if I dial this up now, and I'll dial the gain up, you'll hear a portion of this. And I'll first of all, I'll go back in size, I'll go back in the spray, and in the position I'll go back to the beginning. So you hear it's only taking this tiny part, and if I change density back, it's going to slow down how many grains it's taking per second. So now I have this. If I change my size, I'm going to take this. If I change the position,
Color. You catch the scent,
it will go
It's
on
first,
doing that.
first, first,
But actually, I
first,
can also
first,
modulate those settings,
first,
and I have X, Y, and Z
first,
setting, a
first,
next
first,
velocity
first,
input, and a couple of
first,
modulatable or
first,
assignable
first,
modulations that I can
first,
choose
first,
from.
first, first,
These are
first,
preset, the X, Y, and Z.
first, first,
The next
first,
is an
first,
interesting one because if
first,
I
first,
will
first,
modulate that, or if
first,
I'll put, for
first,
instance,
first,
a gate in there,
going deep.
it will
As you
change to
can.
next
Breathing.
samples or
there.
next grains that it's going to take.
Talking about first bringing color.
So it's taking a different portion
there.
every time there.
The taste there. From heaven to me. Wait, first.
The X setting is, I'll have to look it up. I forgot myself, but obviously this is within the manual because as I do right now, I already straight away try to create a manual for that. I'll see if I can find that. Hang on 1 second. Here it is, and this is the manual as it is. You also see the prices. The manual will be sold for $24 for the single module. If, on the other hand, you have the FSYN bundle, it'll cost you $15. If you have the FSYN generative bundle, it'll cost you $19.50. So there are different prices available for that. But if I look at this, the X is always modulating the position. The Y is always modulating the spray, so the spread over the full sample, and the size can be modulated by the Z. But as I said, if I look at this, I get all kinds of different settings for my modulation targets, so to speak. So if I put any of those things in there, it will do different stuff. So jeez. First one being position, second one spray, third one size. So you can decide for yourself what you use. Then there was this next thing, the velocity, and otherwise take this. So that means that if I put my modulation into my mixer, the mixer can amplify. It's an attenuator, so I can take this out into my off setting here and then change, for instance, the position of this.
Deep.
So
Going deep.
then the
The
LFO will obviously decide how what portion is going to be taken. The depth here is going to change that as well. So you could do stuff like that.
Compare
that if I set my position somewhere in the middle, it will go to both sides or
sipping from it.
So depending on whatever modulation you have. The other one was the pitch, so that means that if I take
sipping
this,
from it, sipping 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 from it,
Sipping.
you hear us
Sipping.
changing the
Sipping
pitch,
from it,
going up,
sipping from
going down.
sipping from it,
Let's take a
sipping from it.
longer
Sipping from it.
grain.
Sipping. Sipping.
Sipping from it. 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 Sipping.
So that's
Sipping
the
from
pitch.
Sipping from
You could
sipping
take
from
this position, as I said, you could take the
sipping
the
from
spray, so
sipping
it will
sipping
take
from
it
sipping
will
from
divide
sipping
it more
sipping from
over
it
the
sipping from
over the
sipping
whole
from
area
the
of
taste
that.
sipping. There is nothing to sipping
And
from
obviously,
taste.
I'm now doing it
Sipping
by
from,
panorama
sipping
or
from,
by modulation. But
sipping from
if I take this out, I can
sipping
do that
from,
myself.
sipping
If I
from,
take
sipping.
more density, so more samples that it's going to use, I can now change.
There is nothing. Thinking there's nothing.
Each of the time within this. If I take it down, it's going to stick on that part, but I can change the position myself. And one of the other things is that I can
There's nothing.
to divide the sound. So if I take something like this, it's going to be something like this. But if I want areas around it, I turn my spray a bit up and move over it. And if I dial it higher up, it's going to take all these different parts. Now the thing is that if I take this back, something like this, I've got my source here, and if I switch my source up to the second level, because the first one is the mono sample, the next one is a live stereo input that I could put into the left and right audio, and the next one is the synth setting. So if I take it up to synth, I need a pitch and I need a gate, so I'll dial these in. And now I'm pressing my keyboard. So that means that if you take another kind of sample where you don't use something like this, but a vocal sample or something, maybe I have something like that. Let's see if I have that. Voice wave. Let's see what it is. First of all, listen to the original one. I'll dial
4. Vocoder.
No.
1, 2, 3, 4.
This was
Vocoder. 1, 2, 3, 4. Vocoder. 1, 2, 3, 4. Vocoder. 1.
Vocal drone. Okay. So we got this. And dial this all back. So something like that. Don't use the spread, don't use the poly. Got the filter all down. So this is already a sample, very soft one though, that is just a voice kind of thing. And obviously it means here that if I dial this up to mix and I take something of a grain and some density in there, it should be able to let you listen to what it does. And let's see, no modulation. Take more density. So I got something like this, but now the pitch and gate, if I dial this up at least, will be playable. So if I take this up, so I could do something like that. So now I could change the density or use the spray a bit to sort of widen the part where it takes a sample from. Use the spreading to make it more stereo. Maybe use a different envelope to change the way it really sounds. Take it through echoes and use some echo to widen that. And then we have. And if I switch my poly on, it's not really, because I'm actually using a mono pitch, but it allows me to use a poly chord from my keyboard to play the sound, because it's actually it's looking at this this pitch input pretty fast, and it keeps those pitches and then tries to take that over all of the grains. So yeah, you can sort of play sort of polyphonic this way. But you have to be careful in the way that you set it. So yeah, that's it. And if I now, for instance, wanted to change the pitch by using modulation, I could take this, use the pitch. Now obviously this is far too deep. some settings back. So yeah, you can really play around with that, and you can actually filter this high pass filter, low pass filter, bypass in the middle, and even that is available as a setting here. So I can use that as a modulation setting. So you've listened to the playable and normal effect setting like this. So then it's just listening to the normal sample without playing pitch, but obviously you can still change pitch here if you want it. And you can also reverse the sample or the grains. So something like that. And the other thing is that you can use a source setting on live, which means that it's listening to the left and right inputs. So that means that if I would take something, let's say I take my cells module, for instance. Oh no, let's take my where is it? My prism. So I'll take my prism and put that into my left and my right. I can do that and switch my recording on. You see that the signal is coming in, and as soon as the signal comes through, because I'm only listening to the grains at the moment, now the samples are coming through, and you should be able to listen to it. So that means that if I do weird stuff here with transposing the prism, it will take some time, but you will hopefully hear all that. And if I switch my record off now, it's staying within the buffer. So I can actually now play around with all these modulation settings. So let's take the spray down. So it means that I can still change my position, and I can use my density, my grain size, change the envelope to something else, change the spray. Random pitch So even with not readily available samples, you can still create your own this way and work around with that. So yeah, I hope that gives you an idea of what grains can do for you. And yeah, I might make some examples now and then and get back to you in a later stage. So I hope you enjoyed this. Cheers for now. Bye bye.